First, and then you go with the legs. I just picked it.
How's everybody doing? All right, y'all here. That's good to see. We're present. So we got a couple of joints for y'all. So we're gonna kick this off with a classic for us. Let's go. Baltimore City, how y'all feeling? My name is DDM, for those of you who may not know me. Here's Paul Hudson. We are Bond Street District. We taped our episode for the whole Bushel this afternoon. The food was delish. You know my fat ass loves to eat. So we're gonna start it out like this. Now, I don't know where y'all from, but being as how I'm from Baltimore City, I think it's only right I give y'all the business. Yo, my mama used to say, you better shop around, but I don't give a damn, I'm getting food stamps now. Looking at the TV, wanting all the riches. Flashbacks, sleeping on benches. I'm from the west side is the best. Wear it on my chest like a Superman S. I can tell stories all night. Topping my Easter shoes on Cinderella's on Park Heights. Park Heights, yo. Renegades is the campaign, and we fancy now, only drinking champagne. Dope boys bundled up like it's cold outside. Max is not makeup, but Apple G5. I love the ghetto with my all. Reading the fake girls like the kids at the ball. Ended the year high school, roaming the hall. Looking for something pretty to roam on my job. Put your hands up one time, y'all. Let's go. West side is the best side, cause it make me think about all the good times. And they go, east side is the best side, cause it make me think about all the good times. When I'm writing up a production.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to The Whole Bushel. I'm your host, Eze Jackson. The Whole Bushel is an interview show where I sit down with performing artists to discuss issues that matter to them the most, all while sitting down eating crabs the way we do here in Baltimore, Maryland.
Our guest today is Baltimore rap duo Bond Street District, which consists of Paul Hudson, the producer, and DDM, the MC. Thanks for joining us, fellas.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah. Thanks, Easy.
How y'all like that? Y'all enjoy that?
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah? When was the first time you had crabs, Paul?
Man, I don't know. I was pretty young. I remember when I was really young, I thought I was allergic to crabs. I had a really bad reaction when I was like 7, 8 years old, so probably around then, but been fine ever since.
Nice.
I can't remember. I'm from Baltimore, so we eat these all the time.
Right. As far back as you can remember.
You know,
right?
we come out eating crabs.
Yeah. 2 years old, you figure out how to crack them.
Right.
Bring it right there. Word. So y'all got a new album out. It's called A Church on Vulcan, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about the album. Tell me, it's because it's a follow-up to your EP, Everybody's So Sleepy.
Sure.
Tell me about it, and what are some of the important songs on this project that you want people to hear?
I think this record, it's now that I listen to it after it's done, I was talking to a friend of ours, Matt. It's definitely a darker sounding record, but dark in the Steely Dan kind of way, where it's heavy content, but you don't know you're listening to heavy content until you look back and it's like, oh, dude, you know, like, it's a lot of social commentary on this record, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of like the darkest elements are kind of hidden in lighter sounds, you know. So in some of the songs where it sounds light and poppy and everything, if you really listen to the song, that's some of the darkest moments on the album. But yeah, I think there's a lot of important songs on this album.
Yeah, Technicolor.
What is it about Technicolor that's...
Technicolor is an important song because it's, you know, especially, you know, I grew up in Baltimore, West Baltimore, you know, and here, our children are designed to go on a certain path and they're designed to think a certain way, at least when I was coming up and I look at the kids now. And Technicolor is basically a song about you
wanting what you feel you deserve, not what people think you deserve. You can have what you want to have. You will have to work for it. But don't let nobody tell you what you should be or what you should have. And I think that's very important for children, specifically in inner cities and living in this time when there are a lot of budget cuts, especially for arts programs and music programs. It's important for them to have that mindset.
Technicolor, Technicolor, Technicolor. Hold up, Technicolor. I dreamed in color. Came a long way from a youngin' on the block. Now be sitting on top. Never had to do 3 hots in a cot. And that's no thanks to my pops. Keep a lot of colors on deck to paint all the pictures I see. Cause I'm going rushing, it's no sweat. I can see victory in my dreams. Sitting in my room with the radio on, thinking how I'ma be a big star. Even though coming from the city that I'm from, people really don't make it that far. Skin deep, you can scratch the surface, but I bet you won't leave no scars. Dope boys and police lights, the canvas on which I draw. Technicolor, 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 Technicolor. I dream in color. Technicolor, 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 Technicolor. I dream in color. Shine on a bitch like a pastel. Run back the tape on a back cell. A lot of people that I came up with, either laying in a box or a jail cell. I ain't never did no fuck shit. Real recognize real and I can't tell. In the hood, people getting evicted. What rich folk like to call a yard sale. Call it what you want, cause I stay in the know. I'm trying to do shit you ain't never did before. Stunt on stealth, getting money on the low. Niggas out here be mobbing, and you don't really want no problems. These bullets ain't got no name, and I ain't trying to get hacked by anonymous. Sitting in my room with the radio on, thinking how I'ma be a big star. Even though coming from the city that I'm from, people really don't make it that far. Skin deep, you can scratch the surface, but I bet you won't leave no scars. Dope boys and police lights, the canvas on which I draw. Technicolor, say it. Technicolor, 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 Technicolor. I dream in color. Technicolor, 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 Technicolor. I dream in color. Shining on them, shining on them, shining on them, shining on them, shining on them. If you got a hate on them, shining on them. Tell that motherfucker shining on them. We shining on them in 2017. Let's go. Shining on them. Hold on. Shining on them. Get out on my radar. Get out the way for a spray, yo. Ain't no other way but to go hard. Hey, cat, when I go off. Killer. Get out on my radar. Get out the way for a spray, yo. Ain't no other way but to go hard. Cat, for I go off. Killer. Sitting in my room with the radio on, thinking how I'ma be a big star.
Would you consider yourself a patriot?
A patriot. I mean, yeah, I guess so, but at the same time, it's hard to be patriotic in a country that has so many issues that seem to not be able to be resolved. You know, you would think that in as progressive as a time as you would like to think we live in, there's still issues of race and, you know, issues with the LGBTQ, you know, stumble through that. No, just like, you know, you would think that we would be a lot farther along by now than we really are. So I find myself struggling, even seeing sometimes family members posting on social media certain things and seeing people that you wouldn't consider to be hateful or anything and post things that aren't necessarily hateful, but from a place of ignorance and they, you know, not understanding other people's point of view. And I think that's that's some of the most American stuff right there is refusing to see someone else's point of view. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is right. If you don't think so, you're wrong.
Right.
And I have.
You brought up an interesting thing the other day when we were talking about the Blue Angels and like recently when there was Fleet Week here.
Yeah, they were just here and had the Blue Angels flying over Baltimore and stuff like that. And you know, as impressive as it is, because what they do is truly impressive, you know, it's really crazy, but as impressive as it is, it's kind of scary to sit there and hear that and see that and think that in that very moment, in that exact day, there's someone in the world who's seeing and hearing the same type of thing, but in their mind, they're not thinking like, oh, pretty plain. They're thinking my whole family's about to die, like right now, you know? And every time you would hear those planes go over, it was hard not to like hear that screeching of those, you know, jet engines going by and then not imagine right after it hearing boom, 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 and just thinking like, whoa, like a whole neighborhood just got taken out like that, you know? And it was bizarre to sit there comfy in your house and looking out your window, drinking a coffee and seeing this stuff happen and feel totally safe and knowing that people are losing loved ones day in and day out, and then we're still sitting here wondering why people hate us.
Right.
It's really, it's baffling.
It's crazy. It's hard. What about you, Manny?
Patriot? I'll put it to you like this. The country has a lot of things that need to be fixed, but when you go outside of the country, it's a little different for black folks. When you go into certain regions, they don't really view us the same as they view white Americans, but you're still an American. So you definitely feel that. Like even talking to like, you know, I have a friend over in Britain and I talked to her about the news programming and how we're just viewed by everyday people. And it reminds me so much of Rome. It reminds me of Marie Antoinette. I think that I believe in the sense that, like, when you look at, I was just talking to, I think it was you, Paul. I was talking to Paul about Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette film she did in 2006. And it basically humanized Marie Antoinette's story. And it made you understand how people can revolt. Case in point, when you look at the Kim Kardashian robbery in Paris, Hollywood was like, oh, nobody deserves that. That's terrible. And, you know, they kind of got upset. Karl Lagerfeld actually is the only one that made a statement that was actually true. If you are famous and you have lots of money, naturally people are going to want to share it with you. That's very true. And it was very telling to me that a lot of celebrities and, you know, media people could not understand why on social media and in the world, people did not feel sorry for her. And I think what they miss is, the only thing, like I said, she just missed the guillotine this time. But when you have people living in the state in which they're living in the South, the poverty level amongst a lot of people, these people can't even afford to go on a shopping spree to Walmart. And you're a person who's always on social media. Now, I don't know what her, you know, philanthropic work is like or what her charity work is like. But it's hard to explain to people who are living like that for them to feel bad for you because you got robbed of $5 million worth of jewelry. Who has $5 million worth of jewelry on their person?
Right.
You know, I can't even borrow $20 from my mother. You understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to be a patriot because the way
Champions are made from the worst of things. A king is not measured by his items, he is measured by his fucking persona. So whether I have nothing, I'm still a king, my crown still exists. It's just in the pawn shop, bitch. Okay? Hey, all my smokers in the building. Put your hands up, we gonna vibe to this. I want y'all to listen to the words with us. Thank you for rocking with us. We are Bond Street District. Let's go. Hey, if it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, everybody's so sleepy. Z. If it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, everybody's so sleepy. Z. Let's go. Hey. Black girl lost, black boy lost. In class looking at the blackboard lost. Ready for a future that includes no job. Rotten apple could have been the next Steve Jobs. But instead of Silicon Valley, focused on Louis Vuitton bags and Audis. Gucci and Bushel, sneakers with the Crocs stand. You a cold-blooded boy in that long chant. Look, champ. Our dreams in life, they all differ. From a young boy sitting in them class pictures. The life gets you caught up, drunk off the vigor. You took 2 shots and can't handle your liquor. Nowadays, I be playing the background. Being a celebrity is totally whack now. Real shit is back now. Bond Street District, that's where we at. If it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, put them up. If it wasn't for these trends, everybody so sleepy. Z. If it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, everybody so sleepy. Z.
Hold up. Mannequins posing for the shenanigans. These pipe dreams I stream keep me from panicking. I speak on it, y'all just be rambling, looking for handouts, amateur panhandling. Never settling, I get it at all costs. Everybody sleeps, so they want me to doze off. Gussing your beats with the soft cloth. Now you can't get me off the record like a federal gun charge. Hey. I heard they wanna know about me, but my circles stay connected like the symbol on an Audi. Paulie from the county, girls love the D. The dream costs money, but the drama come free. Nowadays, I be playing the background. Being a celebrity is totally whack now. The real shit is back now.
Let's hit
Bond Street District, that's where we at. If it wasn't for these trends, put it up. If it wasn't for these trends, come on. If it wasn't for these trends, everybody so sleepy.
Z.
If it wasn't for these trends, come on.
If it wasn't for these trends, if it wasn't for these trends, everybody so sleepy.
Baltimore post Freddie Gray has received a lot of attention from the outside world. Those of us that grew up here in the area remember a time when, Baltimore was hardly ever mentioned. But just from your perspectives, what have you seen change since April of 2015?
That's a question. I mean, as far as it pertains to Baltimore City itself, or kind of like its view in the country's eye through
Baltimore. I mean, anywhere from your perspective. I mean, we're coming from the arts community, but we've talked about politics. We live here. You work here. What difference do you see? What stands out to you in terms of Baltimore post Freddie Gray?
I think one thing that I've seen, and I think that it was here before Freddie Gray and everything, but a lot more young, socially conscious artists and people who are really interested in bringing community together and being more community-oriented with what they do. I know seeing a lot of young white artists who really want to try to involve people of every ethnicity, try to bring the black community into things, because I think that's one thing that can be a little dangerous is when you have one culture kind of come into an area and exploit the good, parts of it while ignoring parts that need help and need something, you know what I mean? There's so many things with this city without after-school programs, like you're saying, the liberal arts programs being cut left and right. These kids have no outlets, at all. They have nothing, and people wonder why there's so much unrest and angst and stuff like that. I mean, even like you're saying, the poverty level and stuff like that in the city, people are growing up with post-traumatic stress syndrome just from growing up, from being a kid, you know what I mean? And I'm so fortunate that I think of my childhood very fondly. I got to have a good, upbringing, and for the most part, a happy childhood. And it's hard to break out of that mentality and think about people who don't ever want to think about their childhood. They want to get as far away from that as possible. So to bring it back to the whole Freddie Gray thing, I think there's a lot more socially conscious artists and young people who genuinely want to figure out how to cross art and community and do well by the people around them, because nobody else is.
We living in hard times, y'all. Real times, y'all. Stay woke. Friendly fire take a lot of soldiers out too, but they don't get away with murder like the cops do. A cop deuce cutting beats from the news room. If your story ain't Emmy nominated news, don't shoot. Hell Hitler, Big ISIS, Boko Haram, Charlie Hebdo with the Quran. The world's not over some bigger shit. You only can see what y'all give them, and they reporting it live with Don Living. Terror ever, 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 terror ever. Terror ever, dead bodies. I meditate with Mala bees like I'm repping Bali. They couldn't kill him with crack, so hook him up with the Zans, Perks, and Molly. Tell him welcome to the party where women seldom and hardly. Looking at the signs on the board of them houses. Vote for me, please, I've been running my mouth.
Terror Era, people will hear it, but Terror Era is real dark. Talk a little bit about Terror Era.
Well, that song came about a while ago. That was kind of our way of, we actually put that song out originally just with the first verse, with Manny's verse on it, about how many months before the uprising? I mean, it was...
Yeah, it was a while before that.
Yeah.
Content is not trendy. Only people are.
Ah, come on now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Say that. You said content is not trendy. Only people are. I like that. I like that. Because I was going to ask if you felt like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. All I was going to say about it was just that it was very telling of what was really going on in Baltimore at the time before it got that national stage, and you start seeing it on CNN and the regular news cycle and all this stuff. So it was crazy to see him write that and then see everything that happened so quickly after that, you know what I mean? Like you said, you know, the content still stays true today. You listen to that song today, you'd think that he wrote it yesterday, and that was, you know, what, a year and a half ago or something like that. But yeah, having the addition of Hemlock Ernst and yourself definitely brought that extra element to the whole thing and really rounded it out. But yeah, it's a dark song.
So when you, I know that particular song is dark, but overall you described the album as having some dark content. Is that a reflection of today? Is it a reflection of just personal things that y'all have gone through, or was it just like a creative direction you wanted to go in, you think?
I think it's a reflection of a lot of things. It's definitely a reflection of the times. You know, being in a group, every day isn't a perfect day. So it's a reflection of your daily living. And it's definitely a reflection of, you know, living in Baltimore City. I'm a lifelong resident. I've always lived here. And I've seen it great, I've seen it bad. I remember when the harbor was something to see. Now it's not, you know. So when you start seeing time happen, I'm just old enough now where, like, my generation is from, we got to see the end of analog and the creation of digital. So you're living in two different time frames. Like, to my little brother, MySpace is ancient. To me, I remember when MySpace was nothing. Right. You know, like, he doesn't know a world without YouTube. I remember when in school you had one Mac computer, it halfway worked, and it was like the blue one that processed super slow. Right. You know, so the record is definitely, even sonically, I think, a fusion of...
I'm ready to fight, Paul.
Time.
Public Radio International.
Bond Street District presents Everybody's So Sleepy, a Paul Hudson production starring DDM as Uncle Lulu, a.k.a. Killer Queen, a.k.a. This Is Your Father Speaking, a.k.a. Yes Bitch, Come Through.
Baltimore.
Come on. Get live, y'all. Let's go, y'all. Put them up, y'all. One time, y'all. Here we go, y'all. Go. Come on. Hey, goddamn. Hey, brace yourself. Slick mouth, homie, I'm shady, baby. I talk a lot of junk like Fred and Grady. Black 380 in a gold Mercedes. Now it's blah, 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 blah. Ashes, they all fall down. You lames ought to kill yourself. You know the queen don't fuck with the help. I can't deal with the shade. I never been a trend or a fad. So when you wash out with the wave, I'ma still have a trick in my bag. Get your money low dirty while your gimmick is hot. I'ma make you feel good till I get on the clock. I'ma make you tap out when I get on top. Ha! I keep staring the pot and I'ma bang that bitch. Mayweather. Mayweather.
I'ma bang that bitch.
Rocky Balboa.
I'ma bang that bitch.
Say something.
I'ma bang that bitch.
Now get down. Whoa. I'm the truth, the way, and the light. I never been a slouch when it comes to the mic. Your internet buzz.
I ain't buying the hype.
So it smell fishy in a 2-ball dice. Yikes! The how, the what, the when, the where, the who. Under your skin
My
like
jailhouse tattoos.
jailhouse rock.
Coming through in balloons.
Barack, babadoo, bop, ba-da, bam, boom.
Get 'em.
Baltimore, home of the coke. You better bundle up, cause it's ready to snow. You better talk trash
To the people you know.
cause if you try me, then we're coming to blows.
And I'ma bang that bitch.
Mayweather,
I'ma bang that bitch.
Rocky Balboa.
I'ma bang that bitch.
Say something.
I'ma bang that bitch.
Now get down, whoa. We gonna get live, y'all. Let's go.
All right, last question. 2 sentences. If you could talk to your 17-year-old self, what would you prepare him for?
I would tell 17-year-old Paul, always expect more work. Always expect more work, but always be happy that at least you have work to get done.
I like that. That's dope. That's dope. What about you, DDM?
I would tell 17-year-old Emmanuel, don't be afraid to be who you are and leave as soon as possible and see the world.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate it.
Stick around. We're going to crack a couple more of these. Yo, thanks for joining us again on The Whole Bushel. Bond Street District's album, A Church on Vulcan, will be available on iTunes and everywhere else where you can download music. Just Google them, look them up. We'll also have information on therealnews.com.